Ever wish you could turn back the clock to the heyday of waterfowling? When ducks covered the sky in endless flocks that stretched across the horizon? Well, you have only to head to the South American nation of Uruguay to get the taste of what was once found across much of North America. The country's not only home to some of the planet's best duck hunting, it's also an upland hunter's paradise. There's no mystery as to why we're headed there this week.
All right. There you go. Nice shot. That was a sweet little drive right there.
Today's episode of Bird Hunter's Journal is brought to you by Beretta. 500 years, one passion. Bird Hunter's Journal, brought to you in part by Eukanuba, what healthy pets are made of. Filson, might as well have the best. DT Systems, bringing out the best.
One of the universal axioms of waterfowling is that if you can find rice culture, you'll invariably find ducks. And in South America, well, ducks and rice go together as much in the marsh as they do on the table. For authors Chris Dorsey, who's making his 16th trip to South America, and Steve Smith, making his inaugural foray to the continent, a chance to see how good the waterfowling was in Uruguay was an opportunity too inviting to pass. The duo headed to George Criddle's Los Gauchos Outfitters, situated amid some of the country's most productive rice-growing region.
George Criddle has really done an amazing job. I mean, he's only just started in Uruguay as an operator, and he's already located some of the best duck hunting I've ever seen in 16 different trips down here. So the man has a nose for birds. He's certainly found good locations, and he's got this wonderful estancia here, Los Gauchos Estancia, and the people are wonderful, the food is fantastic. I mean, classic South American hospitality. You come down here as an American, they love you and they take good care of you, and they really want to show off the best that they have, which is this dynamite wing shooting. We're not in Kansas anymore.
Dodo.
Watch him, watch him. Let him come, let him come. Look at that. Setting it perfectly. Take him, take him. Ho! I had a hard time picking out a drake. After the first drake, it was scrambling. I was looking for...
I think I got 2 drakes.
Did you?
Yeah.
Got a bunch of rosy bills up over here too. Oh, look at that, she's got them. Now look at the white barring on the wing there. I mean, it's so easy to tell these ducks.
Doesn't it?
Between the size of the duck and that barring and the way they fly.
For Dorsey, author of Wildfowler's Season, and Smith, author of several books on waterfowling, including the definitive work, Hunting Ducks and Geese, there were many parallels between the duck hunting in South America and that found in the U.S. Most notably, the birds in Uruguay could be just as tough to hit.
Take them! God, unbelievable.
Oh, Brazilian duck landed down there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Here we go, to the right. Look at this pair coming in hard. Right on top of us. Got him, Steve?
Yep. Oh, look behind him.
Let him come down, let him come down. Take this pair. Nice. Pintails. Those are pintails.
Smell of powder in the morning. Smells like victory.
All we need is the Flight of the Valkyries being played, huh? I think those are all Brazilian ducks there.
They're as thick as blackbirds.
Wait a minute, Steve. I think those are blackbirds.
Oh, okay. Well, that would explain it then, wouldn't it?
Ba-dum-bum. Look at the left, real low.
Oh, yeah.
Coming right in, nice and low. Get ready. Get ready, get ready.
Take him. Oh, he's down.
Yep, got a mark on him.
Good deal.
Whew, they were screaming.
Wow.
Oh, look at this. Right over us.
Right.
There are a wide variety of teal, pintails, and widgeon found throughout South America, but the duck that is the gold standard for visiting waterfowlers is, without question, the rosy-billed pochard. About the size of a canvasback and similar in form, these birds have all the attributes possessed by the sportiest game birds in the world. They're strong flying, tough to bring down, and they're delectable on the table. The rosy bills travel in tight flocks that don't so much approach your decoys as they seem to want to strafe them. With flock upon flock approaching and with singles and pairs buzzing about the decoy spread, the challenge for Dorsey and Smith was knowing exactly when to call the shot.
Ready?
Yeah.
Take.
Nice shot.
Splash.
Look at this.
Yeah, that's
Reduced to possession, as the game department boys like to say.
those labs like to pick up a duck that's still got a little kick.
Isn't it neat when Fred comes back? You can tell he's been worked a lot.
Oh,
Because when he comes back with a single, he's already looking over his shoulder.
What, that's it?
See, yeah.
For guide James Cherney, a Tennessee resident and trainer of champion retrievers, the chance to work his dogs through the month of June, July, and August in Uruguay is well worth the price of admission.
I love the dogs. I love seeing the dogs bring the ducks in as much as I do shooting the ducks, maybe even more so. It's just so much fun to see an animal that loves something doing what they love. And the labs, retrievers, they just love it.
And a lab will retrieve more birds in one Uruguayan season than he likely will in a lifetime of hunting across North America.
Boy, it's fun to hunt with good dogs. It's pretty rare down here to have good dogs.
Here. Nash Buckingham said one time that the best long-range duck load was a well-trained retriever. And I can tell you that we saw such a huge proportion of the birds recovered here compared to other places that I've seen and heard about where you have people, bird boys, picking up the birds. The dog can just catch them. He can find them because he's got that one thing the bird boy doesn't have. He's got a nose.
Let's listen to dog training guru George Hickox as he shares his secrets to creating better gun dogs.
So you want to keep your dog so it's as healthy and can perform for you as long as you can. And the number one thing is obesity. Okay, I was talking with the vets on an article we did recently down here, and I asked them on the sporting breeds that come in. The sporting breeds people say they hunt, whether they were fox dogs or bear dogs or bird dogs or whatever, and I asked them what percentage of the dogs they felt were overweight that came in out of the sporting breeds, and they said 50 to 60%. It's the number one killer of dogs in this country. It leads to other side effects. Don't let your dog get heavy. That roly-poly puppy's a bad deal. Don't have a roly-poly puppy that's overweight. It's making his bones grow quicker than they should. They don't seat right, and you end up with arthritic problems, patella problems, elbow problems, or hip problems. You like an hourglass look. Okay, if you're looking at him from the top, you see a narrow waist and a big sprung chest that has exercise. You want to be able to see his ribs or feel them, depending on long-haired dogs. Okay, so you should be able to enjoy a long life with your dog and have a lot of fun in the field with that dog for a long time. If you take care of him, don't let him get fat, feed him a quality food, keep him in condition, give him plenty of exercise.
Let's see what goes into feeding the working dog, as the experts from Eukanuba create the ideal fuel for all manner of sporting dogs. There seems to be a myth circulating that high-protein dog foods are bad for working dogs. Truth is, as Eukanuba's Dr. Martin Kaufman explains, canine athletes need about 30% protein in their food. Less than 20% protein could lead to increased muscle injuries. This helps decrease muscle and tendon injuries and helps the dog maintain its muscle mass. Highly digestible protein sources like chicken are ideal.
Waterfowling in Uruguay is probably the most undiscovered, best-kept secret that there is in waterfowling, simply because of the fact that there's almost no outfitters here.
For Dorsey and Smith, the chance to travel to Uruguay in the middle of the U.S. summer was the perfect opportunity to extend their otherwise limited hunting season. It's just one of the many virtues of heading south, way south, for some added wing shooting.
And we got into this little lagoon, had a storm come through and kind of, probably dumped an inch of rain in a short amount of time. and then blew out. And these birds started moving and they didn't stop. I mean, it was one after another, mostly rosy bills, which, you know, if there's a better duck in the world, I've never found it. I mean, it is a fantastic bird. Super fast, strong, take a lot of pellets to bring them down.
Take him, take him.
Nice. We got into this spot and it was one after another. I mean, it was almost as fast as you could reload. And when you come to South America, that's what you're hoping for. Take him. There you go. Nice.
This place is absolutely phenomenal. Argentina gets all the press, and rightfully so, because it's a great hunting destination. But Uruguay is really, really undiscovered. I was so glad that my first trip to South America included this place.
I shot your duck, didn't I? Because I said left and I shot the right duck.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Honestly, I didn't even do that on purpose, Steve. Had I thought about it, I would have, but I didn't even think about it.
Well, I'm not surprised.
It's great fun. It's great to watch the dogs. They have dynamite pointing dogs down here. So if you enjoy great shooting, great dog work, and the companionship of people like Steve Smith, which I do, it's a great trip.
When it comes to getting on target, whether upland birds or waterfowl, few people know more about how to do it than shotgunning authority Steve Smith. Let's join him as he shares his tips for better shooting.
One of the great lures of duck hunting to me always has been is sharing quality time with a friend or a family member in the duck blind. Like my good friend Joe Coogan here. We're in Mexico, we're trying to shoot some ducks, and we're having a real good time. One of the things that makes duck hunting, and specifically duck shooting, a lot easier is to know whose duck is who. The dividing line, of course, is going to be the middle of the blind, the side that you're going to shoot on. If they come in on that side, they're Joe's. If they come in on this side, they're mine. But if they come in so that they're crossing from right to left, what you want to do is have whoever's side they're on shoot the back end of the flock. In other words, if they're coming from Joe's side toward mine, Joe should shoot the back duck, I should shoot the front duck. If they're coming straight in, left is mine, right is Joe's in this case. But it's a good idea to work out ahead of time, what do we do if they cross that center line? Do you stay with that duck, or do you just take the ones that's on your side only? That's something for you and your partner to work out. When the ducks are coming into the decoys, is not the time to try to figure out whose duck is who. You better sit down.
And you take the next drake.
Okay, I'll take the next drake. Thank you.
Today's episode of Bird Hunter's Journal is brought to you by Beretta. 500 years, one passion. Bird Hunter's Journal, brought to you in part by Eukanuba, what healthy pets are made of. Filson, might as well have the best. DT Systems, bringing out the best.
Nice shot.
There's more to South American wing shooting than just ducks, however, much more. The continent is also home to the world's best goose, dove, and pigeon hunting. Why is the bird hunting so good, you ask? For the simple reason that northern Argentina and Uruguay possess an ideal mix of marshlands, uplands, roosts, and grain fields to support nearly unfathomable numbers of birds. It's hard to say how long this embarrassment of riches will last, but for now, the hunting is only getting better. Another, and often overlooked, game bird is the spotted tinamou, or Perdiz, as it is often called locally. These strong flushing upland gamers sit well for a point, but erupt from sparse cover with all the strength of Hungarian partridge or wild bobwhite quail.
The funny thing about hunting perdiz is they're found in kind of different levels of cover, none of which is really thick. I mean, some of it's like almost like a golf course fairway, and the dog goes on point and you're walking through this 3-inch cover and you're like, there's no bird here. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, out of a little groove and a little tire track or something, up comes the bird.
For Dorsey and Smith, it was a chance to exchange their Beretta autoloaders for double guns and join guide Hunter Schimpf as he worked one of Criddle's exceptional pointers through the pasture-like fields inhabited by the local tinamou populations.
Right.
He's got his mouth open, he's now breathing through his nose.
That's right. When he starts puffing like he's got a cigar in his mouth, it's pretty serious. Remember, don't shoot the power line, Steve.
I know one time you shoot one power line, you're branded for life.
They have no sense of humor at all. Want me to hand you this? No? Look at that dog.
Enter this dog in a limbo
Get ready,
contest.
that thing's gonna come out of here like... There you go, Steve! Nice! Wow! Congratulations!
Thanks. I've never, first one I've ever seen, and
It wasn't a meadowlark.
and it wasn't a meadowlark.
Kim,
I gotta
Yanny,
see this bird.
Yanny.
Let's have a peek at him, huh? Look at that. Isn't that a nice sized bird? It's about the size of a hun.
Uh-huh.
Did you notice anything strange about that bird?
What a twittering sound. Sounded almost like a woodcock when it went out.
It did, but look at, there's no tail.
No tail at all.
I mean, a tail on a bird is the rudder, which controls direction. And sometimes once they get out a little ways, they'll do that this way, and then this way, and then this way.
So shoot fast, right?
Yeah, but the other thing that's interesting is it's actually related. It's in the ostrich family, or the rhea family, those big birds that we've seen running around here.
Yes.
It's in the same family. And there's probably about 15 to 20 different subspecies of tinamou. This is a spotted tinamou. They call them Perdiz, which is a derivation of Perdiz. And the conquistadors showed up here in South America and thought they looked like their partridge, so they called them Perdiz, and that kind of stuck. But they're not actually a partridge at all.
How are they on the table?
Fantastic.
Are they?
Yeah, yeah, they're white meat, just like a quail almost. I mean, really delicious. Nice shot, pal.
Thank you.
Whew, that didn't take long.
Thank you.
The closest thing I can link them to is a pheasant in the United States. They'll hold, but they'll run. They'll just run, and it takes a while for them to finally fly.
Got him? He's got one there, Steve. Boy, that bird sat tight.
Yeah, Yanny.
Pretty, pretty, pretty. Good dog, yes. That dog worked that bird for...
He started working back there about 125 yards.
Yeah, I did.
Ran him the whole way.